Sometimes, if you listen really hard, you can almost hear it.
Our first ever instant star is...
You're it, girl. You're the real thing.
That moment your life changes.
It's about a girl who is just about to fly off and see the world.
Forever.
Jude Harrison!
Hello and welcome to The Breakdown, an Instant Star Rewatch podcast. As always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Sam.
And I'm here with the beautiful Chloe.
And today, we are recapping Season 2, Episode 3, I Fought the Law. Original air date, February 24th, 2006. So the synopsis is... When a shock jock humiliates Jude on the air, she loses her voice. Sick of being made fun of, she meets Patsy and decides to be merciless.
Yours are so much better than mine.
Mine are just from...
mine are just lame. Mine says, involved in an interview with a radio shock jock, Jude is humiliated on air. Unsupported by SME, Jude loses her voice. Meeting free spirit Patsy gives Jude a boost, but at the same time puts her in some hot water.
I think yours is better. Yours are from Prime, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mine are just from IMDb. You know, the film and TV website. Well, it's interesting. I normally love this episode, but obviously now that we're watching it in order to recap it, I was surprised this time watching it round that I didn't enjoy it as much, and I had some frustrations around this episode, which we'll get into. What were your thoughts?
This episode was always just kind of like middle of the road for me. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot more than some episodes, but it was never like one of my favorites. And so this time, I had some frustrations with it, but it's still just in the middle of the road for me.
It's interesting. I think the third episode of a lot of TV shows is just a bit not mediocre sometimes, but like episode 3 in season 1, we had the I'm in love with my guitar storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this episode 3 of season 2 is considerably better than season 1.
Right.
I don't know. We'll get into my thoughts after I've done the recap, because yeah, I had an interesting take on the episode than I ever had before.
Mm-hmm.
So it opens with Jude about to do a radio interview at Music World, which is some kind of music shop in the mall. And her dad is there with her, and he asks her if she really wants to do the interview. But Jude has this kind of faux confidence from spending the summer on an all-boy tour bus. So she thinks that she's super ready to do this interview. So she does the interview, and this shock jock guy is just a jerk.
Yes.
He just repeatedly humiliates her live on air. And the episode kind of goes into the credits with her feeling blindsided and upset. And this whole interview just kind of sets us up for the whole episode. We then head to G Major, which is not long after the interview, and Jude finds SMA making fun of her, and also finds out that they're playing a gig without her, because according to Speed, she couldn't handle this room that they're going to play. So Jude heads into the studio to record her new song, Overrated, and discovers that half of G Major are just stood there watching her record, which I don't think has ever happened before.
No, because apparently they had nothing better to do. And I'm like, it's a record label, right? It's half the staff there.
In the real world, Sadie and her awful beanie, what was going on with that fashion choice, are getting ready for a sorority pledge, or sorority pledge night. And sorority member Elise implies that the only interesting things that Sadie would have to put up for bid are things that belonged to Jude, because Jude's now famous. I have a lot of thoughts around this whole sorority storyline as well.
Yes.
So we're back in the studio, and Jude's vocal performance is far from great. And none of this G major audience is very happy. So we watch her do 18 or so takes, terribly, until Tommy pulls her out the studio and has a chat to her. And he seems to think that Jude's thoughts are more preoccupied on breaking up with Jamie. Tommy also clocks Jude watching Jamie go into a meeting with Liam and asks her if that's what's causing the issue. So he gives her the night off to go and find some guts, which is a line I never thought Tommy would say. Like, no. So many thoughts. Back in the real world again, Sadie is presenting what her sorority pledge gift that people are going to bid on the night. And it's a gift certificate for a real estate 101 with her mum. But she notices that all the other sorority sisters think it's just a lame pledge. So she completely switches up and decides to offer a date with Tommy Q instead. And the pledge mistress, B, wins the date by outbidding everyone for $2,000. Then we have Kat, who returns. I'm so excited about this. I love Kat. And Kat returns from New York. Did we know she went to New York?
Yes.
Okay, I forgot that part. And she returns from New York, seemingly over Jamie. She bursts into Jude's house like this hurricane, and Jude confides in Kat about Speed making fun of her. And Kat suggests that to cheer Jude up, they go out for a night out with these fake IDs that Kat bought. So they head out for this night out to this diviest dive bar ever. And Kat automatically has second thoughts, which I understand. She's like, oh, you can smell the bathroom from here. We realize that Jude has brought them to this dive bar because this is where SME are going to play their gig. And she says to Kat, let me just confront Speed about what he said, and then we can go home. So Jude goes to confront Speed, but then she sees Jamie's also at the gig. So she decides it's not worth it. And they're about to leave and go home and watch Coyote Ugly when this show begins. And this amazing performer gets up on stage, and Jude is just in awe of this gutsy, gritty, grungy girl on stage with SME. And we see Jude watching this performance and just kind of unleashes this inner wildness inside of Jude. So after the show, Jamie comes up to Jude and lets her know that he's the new A&R scout at G Major. So everything we just said that wouldn't happen, like they wouldn't hire a 16-year-old, they've hired a 16-year-old. He says Liam saw his potential to find non-manufactured acts for the label. So he's just implying that Jude is the total opposite of that.
Now she is.
Yes. Jude finally confronts Speed, and Patsy is impressed by her guts, but doesn't like Jamie's A&R dorky personality. So Patsy accosts Jude before she leaves and convinces her to do shots, much to Kat's disappointment, and Kat just goes home alone and leaves Jude to the wild partying. Many shots later, Jude is telling Patsy about her humiliating radio interview, and Patsy convinces her to take revenge by defacing the Shock Jock billboard. So they're spray painting this billboard, and it's going great until they get arrested for vandalism. So Jude's dad has to come and bail her out at 4:30 in the morning, and Patsy just seems really unfazed by the whole thing and tells Jude not to let the dinks get her down before stealing some donuts and leaving.
Yes.
Back at G Major are holding some kind of emergency intervention for Jude until the shock jock arrives, and instead of being upset about the billboard, he takes it as a compliment, and he suggests that Jude plays this shock rock concert that day And if she does, he'll ensure that her record goes into regular rotation on the radio. Jamie thinks that she'll just get booed off stage, and this makes Jude more set on performing this show to prove Jamie wrong. Back in the real world, Sadie and her terrible beanie lets Tommy know that he has this date with B for the sorority pledge, and he's confused, but makes Sadie concerned when he refers to B as being hot because she's a sorority girl. So Sadie decides it would be a good idea to spy on Tommy's date with her, and even intervenes after B asks Tommy to read this poem that she wrote. Tommy reassures Sadie that she has nothing to worry about, and thankfully decides to ditch her beanie for her. Jude plays the shock rock concert, and to be fair to her, has the guts to keep playing through beer being thrown at her and a whole lot of toilet paper. She goes to see Jamie afterwards and apologizes for everything that happened between them, and lets him know that Patsy has agreed to meet him for an A&R meeting. And Jude and Jamie part amicably despite everything that happened. And then the last scene is Jude and Tommy watching Jude's performance at G Major. And generally they've just had way more chemistry than Tommy and Sadie the entire episode.
Yes.
Tommy applauds Jude for having the guts to do the performance and reminds her that they have this sophomore album to start. Jude says that she's just thankful that beer is good for her hair, and after some quite unnecessary producer artist hair touching, Tommy agrees that beer definitely makes her hair soft. And that is the episode.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think the theme was?
I put finding your voice, but I guess in a way it's like finding yourself, yeah.
I had finding your voice / your guts. Like,
Yeah, your
Jude's
guts.
finding her voice to speak up to Speed and Jamie, and playing the shock rock concert, and even Sadie is finding her voice to speak up to the pledge mistress.
Yes.
Let's kind of go from the top. I mean, the shock jock interview was just terrible, but I feel like his character is not uncommon in the radio world.
Right. I mean, there are some DJs that are over the top like that.
And I feel like it's almost part of this character that they're playing to have their own radio show. But that doesn't mean he wasn't a jerk.
Right.
And Jude just doesn't really say anything on air. And then SME are making fun of her. I mean, did we think they were being particularly mean? I just thought they were having a bit of a play.
Yeah, I just thought they were being teenage boys.
Yeah, like I feel like the summer on the tour bus, they would have been doing stuff like this all the time.
Yeah.
So
I think she was just kind of so still in shock with how the interview went that she kind of took it for more than what it was, so to say, than what it actually was.
Yeah, I think she overreacted because she was just super sensitive about it.
Yeah.
And then she goes to record Overrated, and half of G Major are in there. Do we think that's because of her whole, like, refusing to play Stupid Girl and then deciding to play it at the finale, and that everyone's kind of keeping an eye on her?
I do. I think, especially Darius, he's going to be keeping an eye on her for the next little while to make sure
the whole season
that she's doing what he says and what he wants, and that she's playing ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And Liam as well. Like, Liam just seems like she's got on his bad side already.
For any excuse to kick her to the curb. And so the first time she messes up, he's gonna be like, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. So then Sadie's joined this sorority. Didn't know she had, but there we go. I had a real problem with this storyline. I just don't think it aged well. Like, the whole sorority storyline just felt really bitchy to me, and
Yeah.
Just mean girls being mean.
Which I know that, like, I mean, I don't know how sororities were like in England and Australia,
I don't think we have them.
but yes, I mean, we have them over here, and I guess apparently they do in Canada, and but they're not typically like that. I mean, there's normally like a hot sorority, and when I went to where I went away to college, like me and my roommates like labeled each sorority. There were like the prostitutes, there was the hippie sorority, there was the and this and that. But even the ones that we called the prostitutes, prostitutes. They weren't so much like mean and bitchy. They were just skanky.
Hot and skanky.
Yeah, pretty much. And
Yeah.
so, but I don't really know of any sororities as being like bitchy. For the most part, they really are like they look good on resumes. They do good in the community.
Do they look good on resumes, really? I thought they were just
Mhm.
a fun thing to do at
because of
college.
how like because of like the community service they do and the connections you make within and with how much you're involved in.
See, it's so interesting. As far as I'm aware, in the UK there aren't sororities. I'm not sure about Australia now. I don't know. But so my understanding of sororities is what I see in movies. And
Mm-hmm.
in movies they just show a lot of drinking and partying. None of the
I mean,
community
there's
service.
that. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of that. I mean,
Yeah.
the sororities and the fraternities are known for the best parties on campus, but
Yeah. So you think that the bitchiness in this episode was like played up?
yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that it hadn't aged well. Like, I don't know. It just felt like I didn't like the bitchiness of it. Like
Mm. And
calling each other out.
they play it very much like they're so secluded that they don't really like talk to other people on campus, which isn't the case at all. I mean, of the colleges I went to, I would, I had classes with them. You know, you talk on campus. They're not that bitchy and they're not that like secluded that they're just so closed off in their own little world.
So my other question is, if Sadie's in a sorority now, she's at college. I guess at the end of season 1, Sadie graduated high school. I mean, that wasn't a storyline that we saw, but we assume that happened, and she's now at college somewhere.
Mm-hmm. That's what I always thought. I thought someone in season 1 said she was a senior. It said something about her going to Europe, being her graduation present, or something. I thought, but I can't remember.
Yeah, that does sound right. Well, then we've got Jude, who's just failing at recording. Overrated. I felt like, I don't know, I just felt like that was a little bit forced. Like, she's always been this amazing singer, and now all of a sudden she can't hit any kind of note, even after 18
Right.
takes. Like, I don't know, it just felt a bit much.
Which I mean, they played it like Tommy thought it was Jamie, but I think it was a mix of a lot of things. I think that it was a mix of what was going on with Jamie,
The
what had
radio.
happened on the radio, feeling like her buddies were making fun of her.
Yeah.
And you know she had been around her pants fighting even though it hadn't shown it.
Yeah, and everything that went down with G Major as well.
Yeah. So I think they didn't really show it, but I think there was a lot into why she lost her voice, so to speak. But
Yeah.
I honestly think they did a bad job of playing up like one reason why she did.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she does. In my opinion, she doesn't even seem that sad about Jamie breaking up with her.
No.
We haven't seen her upset.
Mm-mm.
Not like when Shay broke up with her. So I don't know. Jamie fans don't come for me.
Don't come first.
And then Kat returns. Like, what do we think of that? I love Kat.
I was so excited. I love Kat.
Her fashion sense has not improved though.
No. No. Poor Kat. She has her own little fashion sense.
She does. She really does. And they go out for this wild night out, which Kat decides they don't want to do. Or she it's her idea, and then she decides she doesn't want to do it. And so we have Kat returning, and then we have Patsy, this brand new character. Season 2 is just giving us all these new characters. We've got Liam, Patsy, Darius has become more of a central character. Got Portia, Mason as well.
Speed, SME become more of a important characters.
Yeah. But I just thought, what a great entrance for Patsy. Like,
Yes.
it could not be more of a
I
perfect...
love out of all the new characters' entrance, Patsy's is my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for Patsy to become more of a character. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I thought Jamie was being really mean, like calling Jude manufactured because G Major had hired him to find non-manufactured acts. I was like, oh, get over yourself.
Yes. I feel like once again Jamie's just being whiny and
yeah. And then I don't know,
childish.
Jude's speech to Speed, like I was expecting more. Like it just felt like a very childish dig at him.
Yes.
I know it's meant to be for comedic relief, but I was like, come on, you can do better. But I liked how she said Ninja Turtle pajamas. And then he was like, they're Thundercats pajamas.
I like he has to defend himself.
Yeah. And then Patsy and Jude hit it off immediately. And they start doing shots, even though Jude's underage. And we get the whole vandalism thing. I mean, it's just totally something that would happen. Like you meet this stranger and you hit it off and you just end up having this crazy night out, unlike anything you would normally do.
Well, and what I love about Patsy and Jude's relationship is how quick they hit it off. I mean, for example, and I won't go into everything, but like take me and you for example. Look at how we met and how quick we hit it off. And it's been what, 12 years?
Yeah, roughly.
And I mean, we're closer than ever.
Yeah, but for everyone listening, we live opposite sides of the world.
Yes, I'm in the States and Chloe's in Australia.
Like literally opposite.
And
yeah, we just
so,
hit it
I
off.
mean,
You can't like force that.
No, you can't.
But I felt sorry for Kat. Like I don't know, like you see her watching Jude hit it off with Patsy, and then you see her see Jamie, who's kind of got his new life with SME and G Major, and she's just kind of on the outside, and she's like, oh great, like why did I come back from New York kind of thing.
Yeah, and you even kind of see her like, you don't see her leave, but you kind of see her like back off.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Jude gets arrested and her dad bails her out. And I love how he says, do you have anything to say for yourself, Jude Andrews? She says, I'm so going back to my maiden name.
I love that.
And Patsy just doesn't seem phased.
I love how she tells the cops it's not like I can't steal milk more.
Yeah. What I love is like, did you hear how they were referring to everyone as dinks? I was like,
yes.
Are they meant to be saying dicks, but they can't because of like the network or something?
Yeah.
I was like, what are dinks? I just found it so amusing. Is that a Canadian?
Like, I don't know if that's because the network or safe harbor hours or because of the demographic that the show is aimed for.
What I find hilarious now is like you can basically say anything on a TV show that's on a streaming service now. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, I've heard about Euphoria. I haven't watched Euphoria yet, but apparently it's wild.
Oh, I watched like the first couple episodes, and even I was like, you really can get away with anything on a streaming service.
So I just find it funny that in this, like, they can't even say dicks, they have to say dinks.
Yes.
So then there's this emergency intervention for Jude with her parents there, Darius, Tommy. This is going to be another why is Tommy here moment.
Yes.
The first of season 2.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm sure there would be many more joined to this list, but
Oh,
yes, the
yes.
first of season 2. Why is Tommy here?
and I love this, what do you call it? This like fantasy that Jude has where Jamie says she'll get booed off stage and it cuts to her dressed like Patsy. And she goes up to
Yes.
him and then it cuts to her obviously just imagining doing that. I thought that was so clever.
Yes.
Love that. So then in the real world, Sadie is watching Tommy on this date and she gets all jealous and cuts in. And Tommy reassures her that there's nothing to worry about. He used to do these PR dates all the time. I was like, yeah, I bet you did. So that's Sadie getting her little moment in the episode. And then we see the shock rock concert, and SMA and Jude keep playing no matter what. And I love how Speed gets hit in the face by beer. I was like, is that beer or something else in a cup?
I'm like, I'm not sure what that is, but he kind of deserves it, and it's kind of adorable the face he makes, so I'm gonna deal with it.
Yeah. And the song Overrated is just perfect for this kind of show.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a nice moment between Jude and Jamie where they kind of amicably decide that, they're on good terms despite everything. And Jude has obviously set up this meeting with Patsy for him. And then we have the best scene of the whole episode, of course.
Yes.
And, Jude's about to start recording her second album, and there's a lot of unnecessary hair touching that happens.
So much unnecessary hair touching, but I love it.
Yeah. Oh, it's just. So, let's get into our likes and dislikes. What did you have?
My likes, I had Patsy. And by Patsy, I mean her introduction, I mean her wardrobe, I mean her song, just Patsy. Kat's return, and Jude's rebellious side.
Yeah, I had Patsy, like the introduction to her, and Kat returning. I had Jude's blonde hair and her outfit and her accessories as well. Like, I really noticed her accessories this episode. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
I also had how they foreshadow Jude dating Speed because Kat says, "Oh my god, you're in love with the guy we used to make fun of." And Jude's like, "What? No, like she doesn't have feelings for him yet."
Yeah.
And so I put this as a like. It was a dislike to begin with, and this is what I wanted to talk about. When I was watching this episode, I disliked how everyone seemed so out of character. Like, it just felt like we were in this alternative universe with everyone.
Yeah.
Like, we have Kat's wild side, like she's wanting to go out and party. We have Speed being mean, Jamie being meaner. We have Tommy telling Jude to find her guts. Like, I just feel like that line was really not something he would say. And Jude
No.
actually taking that advice and going out and finding her guts. So
Yeah.
to begin with, it was a dislike. I felt like everyone was just out of character and it annoyed me. But I then turn it into a like because I know that this is just to set up the tone of the new season. Like,
Right.
it really, like, everyone is becoming new versions of themselves in good and bad ways.
Mm-hmm.
What were
Now, I
your
almost feel like with this episode, it had to be the way it was to introduce Patsy, because although Patsy never really becomes a main character, she makes such a big, important storyline.
Yeah, she becomes a huge part of the show.
Yeah, that I think all these changes had to happen really quick when she was introduced for the part that she plays and that she brings out in everybody to make sense by the time what ends up happening happens
Absolutely. Yeah.
for everybody to be affected the way they are.
Yeah, absolutely. What were your dislikes?
Van and Jamie, the radio host, and Jamie.
I had Sadie's beanie. Like, it doesn't even look cold. Why are you wearing that
Yes,
terrible
the
hat?
beanie. I hated the beanie.
The bitchiness of the sorority, I just thought it hadn't aged well and it just grated on me.
Yes.
The sorority storyline in general, I just wasn't a fan. It just felt like
Yes.
Sadie needed a storyline, so that's what they gave her.
Mm-hmm.
I said, who took Jamie's soul? Like, he just felt really mean this episode.
He did. Like, he felt really
Dark.
just dark and assy.
Yep. And then I also thought I disliked how Sadie obviously has some serious relationship issues. She freaks out over Tommy's innocent comment about B being hot. Like, he's like, she's a sorority girl, isn't she? It's a tongue-in-cheek kind of comment.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, your friend's really hot. Like, I don't know. So she's so kind of insecure, she spies on them. Just Sadie should have just not got back together with him in the last episode.
No, she shouldn't have.
What did you have for your chemistry, Cam?
Last Jude and Tommy scene. I
Yeah.
tried so hard, but
There
there
was
was like
nothing
no
else.
other chemistry scenes in this episode.
No. We promise we'll choose a different one at some point.
I promise at some point soon it will not be a drama scene, people. I promise.
Oh. What did you have for your what the fuck moments? I had a few.
Sadie pimping out Tommy.
Yeah. Like, you really want your boyfriend to go on a date with someone else?
Yeah.
I had, when did Sadie join a sorority? Like, we didn't know about that until right now.
Yes.
I also had, when did Jude and Jamie officially break up? Kind of talked about that in the last episode, but obviously it's really announcing in this one that they have officially broken up. We just didn't see it. When would Tommy ever suggest that Jude go and find some guts, in quotes? Like, just didn't seem like something he would say. When was Jude and Sadie's mum working in real estate? Like, the gift certificate Sadie held up said Real Estate 101 with Victoria Harrison. I was like, you know, her mum worked in real estate. And since when
I knew her mom. It's like I knew the mom worked, but I never knew what she did.
Yeah. And since when is Portia Jude's PR team? Like, she was in that emergency meeting talking about Jude's image. I was like, you're a stylist, not a PR. And also, why is Tommy in that meeting?
Yes.
Who were your heroes and villains?
Hero was Patsy, and then villain was the radio host.
Same. Yeah, Patsy was my hero because she really showed Jude how to find the guts that Tommy told her to find. Not that I'm suggesting that you go out and vandalize things, but
no,
she helped Jude blow off some steam. And yeah, then my villain was the shock jock because he was just a jerk. Okay, let's get into our song review of Overrated.
I gave it a 7. I really like the song Overrated.
I gave it an 8. We'll
okay.
We'll go with an even
first
7.
I had down an 8, so we can go with an 8.
Okay. I love Overrated. It's grungy. It really fits the whole episode. The question I had about it is, when did you write it? Because at the beginning of the episode, she's going in to record it. So what was overrated written about, because she wrote it before she was humiliated on the radio.
Yeah.
So what is she singing about being overrated? I'm just curious.
I think it's one of the songs that she wanted to show Tommy when she got back. Like maybe towards the end of the tour, she got kind of over it. She realized it was overrated.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what was the story in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. But I love
Now
the
that
song.
can be completely off topic and not the case at all.
Yeah.
That was just what always made sense in my head, but I made that up in my head, so that could
Yeah.
be why.
No, I agree. So we'll give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of
Okay.
10 instant stars. Did you have anything for pop culture? I found so many this episode.
I don't actually. I like really slack this time.
It's okay. I found loads for both of us. So the episode title is I Fought the Law, which was well, I didn't know this. It was a 1966 song written by Sonny Curtis of the Crickets and popularized by a cover by the Bobby Fuller Four. But it was also recorded by The Clash in 1979, which I did know. So I had to look up what a shock jock was because I wasn't really sure. So a shock jock is a radio broadcaster or DJ who entertains listeners and attracts attention using humor and or melodramatic exaggeration. If that makes sense.
Okay.
So the shock jock says, I can see my daughter wanting to shove you in the dream camper. So the dream camper was a Barbie accessory toy. I think it still is, actually. Jude says, I sound like Lisa Simpson. Lisa Simpson is a fictional character from The Simpsons. Wasn't sure what she meant by that. Like, does Lisa Simpson sing terribly in The Simpsons? I'm not sure.
No, it's how her voice sounds is like animated and kind of goggly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So Tommy says you could try a little less constipation, a little more Joplin. And Janis Joplin is one of the most successful and widely known female rock stars of her era. Tommy also says, in the immortal words of Johnny Cash, I think everyone in the world knows who Johnny Cash was.
Right.
American country singer and songwriter. And at another point in the episode, Tommy references him performing at Folsom Prison. So he performed to a crowd of inmates at Folsom Prison in 1968. Jude says to Kat, what happened to Kat Pitt, real hardcore? And Kat says, I think I hear Brad and the kids calling. She's obviously referencing Brad Pitt, who is a very well-known American actor. Jude says, then we'll go home and watch Coyote Ugly. Coyote Ugly is a 2000s American comedy drama based on the Coyote Ugly saloon. And FYI is my favorite film in the world.
Yes, I love that movie.
Watch it every year on my birthday. It's like a thing. Speed says they're Thundercats pajamas, and the Thundercats is an American media franchise featuring a fictional group of cat-like humanoid aliens. And then Jamie says Jude performing in front of a bunch of drunk AC/DC fans. She'll get booed off the stage. So AC/DC are an Australian rock band formed in Sydney in 1973. There was a lot of pop culture this time.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Which I love that Jude said I sound like Lisa Simpson, just because for those in the know, which since this is a rewatch podcast, most people already know. But that's a foreshadowing for later in the season too.
I don't know what you mean, but don't tell me because I want to be surprised.
Okay.
I've forgotten, clearly. Okay, let's get into our favorite quote. What did you have?
This took me so long because, like I said, A, I was just really slacking this time, and B, it's hard to pick a favorite quote from this one. So I just went with Via does make it softer.
I was gonna choose that one, but I'm trying so hard not to have the chemistry cam and the quote be the same.
The quote be the same. I am too, but I'm like, there's literally no other. It was that or oh, I am Merciless. I'm not upset. I'm Merciless.
Yeah, well, I chose one that was like in the beginning few minutes where Jude says, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, so I guess I should be roaring. I was like, whoa, that just like sums up the episode and how she does end up, metaphorically roaring when she performs. Overrated.
Yeah.
What did you have for your hashtag iconic? The beer. The beer makes it softer.
Yes.
I had basically Patsy as a character, like the whole kind of don't be mad, be merciless, which includes Patsy.
Oh, that's so much better.
And how she introduces herself. She's like, Patsy Sewer, often smashed. Loved it.
Yes, that's so much better.
I just think Patsy is the icon of this episode.
Yes.
Okay, let's spin a wheel for most likely to. Who is most likely to use awesome puns? I feel like Jamie. He's someone who just uses really interesting language and jokes and everything. Or
Yeah.
Speed.
I was gonna say Speed. So Jamie or Speed.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, out of 10 instant stars, how many stars do you rate this episode?
I gave it 7.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I give it 7. It's better than episode 2, and it really sets up this new tone that we've been talking about. But I know there's so many better episodes on the way for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well,
I was gonna give it 8, but I'm like, there's so many better episodes coming.
yes, including episode 204, which we're going to recap next. 204 is one of my favorite episodes, I think, of the season.
Yes.
But this was our recap of 203. Thank you, everyone, for listening, as always. And if you don't follow us on social media yet, please do. And we will talk to you next week when we recap 204. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Breakdown, an Instant Star Rewatch podcast. The Breakdown was produced by me, Chloe, and Neon Network Production. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and listen to all episodes of The Breakdown on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. See you next time.